Thanks, everybody. Thanks to Global Force for inviting us here, me here, and our organization here. I'm Ed Frauenheim, Director of Research and Content at Great Place to Work. And since we're in the drive-in, I thought we should really start with a movie theme, right? So I'm going to ask a little quiz here, movie trivia. Can anyone tell me who these women are? Yes? Okay, we have to give this woman a book. Tessa, can you run her books? That is correct, thank you. These are the women in the movie Hidden Figures, and that was a movie about African-American mathematicians initially at NASA in the 1960s. And if you know the story, you'll know that these women have not gotten a lot of attention until recently, but they were really crucial to NASA putting a man on the moon. And the story, if you know it, also shows that NASA did not really treat these women super well. There was a lot of discrimination in the organization back then, just as there was in society. But NASA did respect their minds. And those minds proved critical to the calculations that put men on the moon and put the first orbital flight into play. In fact, the woman in the middle, played by Taraji Henson, was Katherine Johnson. And she was so well respected that John Glenn would not go up on his first historic orbital flight until she checked the numbers. That's how important they were. And what the story of the Hidden Figures says to us at Great Place to Work is something similar to what we think is important for organizations today in general. And the lesson is basically, you have to maximize all your human potential. That's everybody. No matter what your race is, no matter what your gender is, no matter what your job level is. And for us, it means everyone from the C-suite down to the call center on the 20th floor to the basement boiler room. And why is it important to bring out the best in everyone today? Well, we think it has to do with the economic reality. Everyone counts, we think, in an economy that's defined by a couple features. First, speed. It's moving so fast today in the business world, you don't have time to wait for your frontline people to gather some information, send it up the chain of the command, have a decision up there, come back down and execute an order. No, you've got to have everybody moving quickly, responding to challenges and opportunities in real time. Second, I keep getting shocked by my computer here, so pick me up if I fall down. Social technologies. Everybody has a voice, right? Everyone has their Twitter, their Instagram, their ability to write on Glassdoor and Yelp. If you have a customer who has a ho-hum experience with one of your people, one of your employees, they're going to tell the world about it, and you're going to get dinged for it. So that's another key feature here of the economy. And lastly, people expecting values, not just value. The data shows this, that the consumers, investors, employees care more than they did 10, 20 years ago about the companies that are in their lives. They want companies that match what's important to them. And increasingly, that's values of inclusivity and respect. So when you add these all up together, you really have to have a workplace that's maximizing all your human potential, that's bringing the best out of everybody. And how do you do it? We think it boils down to this phrase: create a great place to work for all. A culture that really works for everybody, no matter what they do in the organization or who they are as a person. And this is the central theme of our new book. Ow. I don't know what's going on up here. A Great Place to Work for All, and I'm proud to say I'm one of the co-authors, and so is my CEO, Michael Bush, who's here, who gave a talk earlier today. Did anyone go to Michael's talk earlier today? Here in the audience? Tessa, you went, but you're from us. Okay, somebody else? Great. Well, we are really proud about this book because it really signals a new chapter in our history. Get it? Chapter, book thing? Thank you. So anyways, we are excited about the book, and it's really about Great Place to Work's. It's the latest chapter in our history, so let me tell you about our history a little bit. First of all, we've been around for about 30 years as a consulting and research company. How many of you have heard of us before I got up on the stage here? A lot of you, okay, that's great to see. This is HR audiences tend to know who we are a little bit, but we are best known for the Fortune 100 Best Companies to Work For list that we basically research and provide through our Trust Index employee survey. But in the last couple of years, you may not know that we've been going beyond the best, if you will, to survey any company, and if 70% of your employees tell us that they're working at a great place to work, we will certify you as a great place to work. And we've had about 1,000 companies enter this program so that we can really recognize you, in keeping with the Global Force Work Human Recognition theme. We are recognizing companies that are great. They may not be the 100 best, but they can be great. And we also have a lot of other best workplace lists that you're eligible for if you do that. Now, everything we do at Great Place to Work is really driven by our mission. Here it is, to build a better world by helping organizations become great places to work for all. And if you know us at all, you would know that this for all piece is really new. For years, we studied organizations and looked at their culture as their employees told us about it through our survey, our Trust Index survey, and we measured them on average. But now we've raised the bar. We're saying it's not good enough to be great on average because we've learned that there were pockets of people having a not so great experience, even at the 100 best. And so now we're saying we want to see you be consistently great across all your demographic groups, for women, for men, for minorities, and also for different job levels. That's a piece of the puzzle that we think is a little bit fresh with what we're saying here. Not just the D&I conversation can be expanded to talk about people throughout the organization at every level. And we think this new model, this new methodology is pretty great because what we discovered in our research is that it's better for business. We've discovered that it's better for people. And it's better for the entire world, really. And our book goes into all three of these themes in some detail, but I'm going to home in on the better for business piece for today. And this is one of the key stats we discovered in our research, that great places to work for all grow revenue faster. Not just a little faster. I'll sum it up for you here. The most inclusively great workplaces grow revenue 3 times faster than the least inclusively great workplaces. These are all great workplaces. They are applying for us for the 100 best list. They are certified great workplaces, but the ones that are the most inclusive take off. And this is actually last year's number. We've done additional research, and the number is now 4x. The differentiator is increased for being the most inclusively great. So what does this look like in practice? We studied recently Hilton, which is proven to be one of the best companies to work for and a great place to work for all. And they have really stood out in the last decade or so for creating a great workplace consistently across all their job levels, so that managers and frontline employees are having a pretty consistent experience, no matter whether you're a bellhop or a concierge or a server in one of their restaurants. And how have they done it? They've really put an emphasis on creating a hospitable workplace as much for their employees as for their guests. They want to be the most hospitable company in the world, and they're saying it's got to be for everybody, not just the ones who come and stay with us, but the ones who work for us. And one sign of that is this image from the Waldorf Astoria Beijing, a Hilton property. You should take a good look at this cafe, if you will, because you're not going to see it in real life probably. This is not for, even if you go to the Beijing Waldorf Astoria, this is only for employees. This is the new employee break room. This 5-star cafe is something that they've built not just in the Waldorf Astoria Beijing, but throughout all of their properties as a sign of respect, a sign of showing people, we want you to, when you take a break, you should have a sense of luxury just like our guests do. And this has paid off, this and a broader commitment to these, everyone at all levels. And it's at the same time that their employee experience scores have been rising and becoming more consistent, their business benefits have been taking off. One sign of that is their stock performance. They've beaten the S&P pretty dramatically over the last 4 years. And if you're curious about this Hilton example, we've just published a paper called Hospitality for All about what Hilton's been doing. I've got a few copies. You can come and see me afterwards. You might be saying to yourself, well, I can't afford to build a 5-star break room for my employees. Well, there's a couple of things Hilton's done that won't cost you anything. First, they have put all of their senior executives in what they call an immersion program, where they're down on the front lines doing the jobs that their frontline service people do. This fellow here, he's the vice president of architecture for the entire, the president of architecture for the entire organization. He doesn't look so happy being a porter. He's probably having to lift heavy suitcases, but he's learning what those folks go through, what their customers experiencing, and ultimately even how the driveways that he's architecting actually operate when it comes to the rubber meeting the road, if you will. And the other thing you can do besides having executives walk in the shoes of the front line is give those folks in the front line power. This is the Delia Rodriguez, she's a housekeeper in the San Francisco Hilton. I got a chance to interview her earlier this year, and she is a spitfire. She has total confidence making things right. That is a Hilton phrase, a motto. If any of their employees sees a problem, they're supposed to make it right away, urgently. And she does actually more than that. She makes it better. She told a story of learning that one of the rooms she was cleaning had a couple that was celebrating their anniversary. She saw a card or balloons or something. So she took it upon herself, let me get a room service to order them a complimentary bottle of wine to celebrate their anniversary. Can you imagine how that couple felt? That's the kind of 5-star, high-touch service that's going to make you want to go back to Hilton, right? And it makes her have a happy experience, too. She gets to be creative and have a fun experience, too. So this is what these two last examples of Delia and the president really get at the two focus areas we would say if you want to start creating a great place to work for all. Innovation by all and for all leadership. And let's go to the innovation by all first of all. That's what I was just showing with Delia. We're talking about everybody having a chance to contribute new ideas. Everybody having a chance to either develop new products and services or new processes that make your operations better. No matter who they are, what their job level is. Someone at the housekeepers of Hilton, for example, doing this kind of work. We have if you look at the other end of the spectrum in terms of industries, Adobe, the software maker, PDFs, Photoshop, they have an amazing program that we've learned about called the Adobe Kickbox. And if you can't read the fine print, it says Personal Innovation Kit. It's kind of a playful thing about think outside the box with a box. Inside this box are a set of cards that will guide any employee for how to generate and refine an idea. You also get a Starbucks gift card thanking you for coming up with an idea. And you get $1,000 seed money. Maybe you need to build a logo or start a prototype, get some software help, programming help. And all this is with no questions asked. Anybody at Adobe can do this. And since 2013, 2,000 employees at Adobe have taken one of these boxes. And the results are pretty striking. They've had more than 900 patents filed in the last few years, and only 130 or so were by their research team. They're getting people throughout the organization to generate great ideas. And when you do this kind of innovation by all work, you're going to see it in your revenue. Our research found that the companies that had the most inclusive innovation cultures had 3x the revenue of those with the least inclusive innovation cultures. And again, this is the data from our book. Our latest research, which had a broader variety of companies, shows that the benefit is 5.5x. So this is the way of the future. If you're not doing this innovation by all stuff, you're going to fall behind. It's pretty simple. So let's go to the leadership piece, which is really, informs the innovation piece. And what we call it is for all leadership. And what we mean by this, leaders at every level of your company have got to start being able to reach everybody. Everybody on their team. You can't leave anybody behind. Everybody, no matter who they are or what they do on that team or for the organization. And this new concept of ours comes from researching 10,000 managers, 75,000 employees to come up with what we discovered to be 5 personas and levels, ranging from the unintentional leader, the hit or miss leader, the transactional leader, good leader, and finally the for all leader. You really want to get your people to level 4 and 5. Michael, our CEO, talked earlier today about the unintentional leader. How many people know people that got promoted because they were a great personal or an individual contributor but are a bad manager? Anyone know anyone like that? It's pretty much a universal experience in one of our organizations. Well, this model is a way to try to get people up the chain here, if you will, toward this level 5 leader. Because when you do that, your business benefits and your team performance take off. We've found that indicators for productivity, agility, innovation, and retention jump dramatically when you go from that level 1 experience to a level 5 experience. What are these level 5 people doing? We have a couple of key behaviors that we'll point to. First of all, they cultivate strong connections, first of all, between them and their people, a trusting relationship. Also, though, between members of their team, and then from their team out to other parts of the organization. They consistently reinforce the company's larger vision. They're purpose people. They're about that goal that the organization's striving for. And lastly, they celebrate successes without seeking personal credit. And I love this image that our graphics team, Major Minor, came up with of the level 5 leader. These lines emanating from this woman's hand are kind of like those connection points within her team and outside of her team. And I think it's kind of like a rainbow. You know, look to the rainbow. There's a pot of gold somewhere. We just got to get there. It's like holding up that dream. And then the third point, this is a woman sitting down, reclining. Other people can get in the spotlight and get the attention, right? She's okay being behind the scenes, celebrating with her team's success. So when you get innovation by all and for all leadership together, well, actually, let me give you an example before we jump to that next point. Here we have an example of a for all leadership in a recent Harvard Business Review article that Michael co-wrote. He's over here. We can talk to him afterwards. That really was about promotions, but it speaks to the for all leadership behaviors, really. And what we studied, we looked at a leader of a call center at one of the world's biggest technology companies, one of our clients. And we found that what she did when she came to her call center was, first of all, she listened to all. She had conversations with everyone on her team, not just about what she wanted from them, but what they wanted from her and from the organization. What were their personal aspirations? Understanding them as people, that human piece that we've been hearing at WorkHuman. She championed all. She advocated for each team member as they were pursuing their career goals. One person wanted to go from the call center to the IT team, and so she had them become the AV point person. And that person was then kind of held up to other teams in the company as the person knows how to get the WebEx to work. They ended up getting a job there, actually. And when that happened and when other people got promotions, everybody celebrated. She celebrated with all. Those promotions became parties as opposed to complaints about politicking or favoritism. Everyone knew she had their back. And her results were pretty astounding. After 14 months of her leadership, her center rose from being one of the lowest performing groups to the highest performing of all. This is what you get with for all leadership. And it's similar to what you get with innovation by all. And when you get those two things going, you're going to start contributing to this mission of creating a better world through great places to work for all. And we think of this mission as a rocket ship. We call it the For All rocket ship. And we have a pretty ambitious goal. We want everybody on the rocket ship by 2030. That is to say, everybody in the world working for a great place to work for all in just 12 years from now. And so we know it's a moonshot, if you will. There's our moon. But just like those astronauts got there in the 60s, we think we can get there. And this rocket ship is a new kind of rocket ship. It's a cross between the giant Saturn rockets that took the first astronauts to the moon in the 60s and Wonder Woman's invisible jet. Does anyone remember Wonder Woman's invisible jet? Can you raise your hand if you remember that jet? Thank you. I wish they had put that jet in her movie last year. Then I could make this point a lot better to the younger generation. At any rate, on this jet, on this rocket, there will be no more hidden figures. No more people working hard and contributing without getting respect for it and the credit. No more pockets of people being abused. No more Me Too moments. Because there will be transparency on this ship, and there will be for all leaders elevating everybody. So we invite everybody here to join us on this journey. It's going to be a bumpy ride at times, but we really think it's going to be the journey of the 21st century.